Welcome back to another DIY Squaredrop camper build. This is part 21 and part 1 of probably 2 of the hatch. Here I am doing some hole filling um, while I can. In addition to the hatch, it's also the connection where the hatch will attach to in this build. So here I'm filling in this slide. So originally the hatch was going to go around the sides of the back and close down. And then I decided that it's much easier and will probably be just as waterproof by just making it sit on top. So I filled in both sides where the hatch will just sit on top of this area as opposed to going around it. And you can see here I am I'm putting a layer of epoxy on top just so it's a lot more structural and rigid. And I'll also be doing a fiberglass over the top of this, just like you see here. It's going over what I had just epoxied and over the actual side of the camper that was already fiberglassed, just to really just like bond those together and make it one really solid structural piece. So yeah, it's been a challenge with the hatch, to be honest. I lost a lot of footage of me actually building this hatch, basically all of it. But you will see here I did some work still to it, so that you can actually see what I did. So here I'm sanding down the corner so that it's nice and round for all the fiberglass. Here, this was several days ago, back when Petco was helping me with everything. This is footage from that, where he is doing a coat of epoxy, and then we'll do fiberglass, and then a last coat of epoxy. In the previous clip, you saw my buddy Justin. He was a big help on the day he was over with getting those sides done with epoxy fiberglass and cutting out the pieces. So a big shout out to Justin and once again Petco for all their help doing this. So we actually put on this cloth way before we should have. It was still tacky and it was very difficult to get this on there. But Petco, being a fiberglass wizard apparently, was able to get that handled really well. So at this point, the hatch, the sides and just the sides actually are extended, and they would go about an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch over each side of the hatch. So this is where I am. This is where I need to cut it down. So before I cut it down, I did all of this fiberglassing to the sides to get it kind of a larger size. So here I have my stepson. He wanted to give a little wave to the camera. We put it on just to give a little test fit, and I liked how it looked. So I took it back off, and I decided it was a little wobbly, and I didn't really like that. So here I'm adding blocking, and this is where you can see kind of the construction of this hatch. Those center beams that go from the bottom to the top, those are actually just 1/2 inch plywood. And the outsides are also 1/2 inch plywood, but I added an additional 1/2 inch to those to the edges, so they're doubled up. And then here I'm literally putting blocking. I put blocking on every single piece, so it's doubled up everywhere. And on the top, it's actually tripled up, so that the big screws that I'm going to be putting in from the hinge will, and that's up there now. You can see the very top of it. That's where the screws will go through the hinge into those 3 layers of 2x1s or 1x2s. Yeah, here I'm just gluing and screwing all of them in, and then here I put the hatch back on the camper and I set it in the right position. I actually screwed it in to the hinge into the hatch and to the camper temporarily, and I went down and I cut it with a router, and then I rounded it over. And then now I am putting an extra fiberglass strip, because it was already fiberglassed, but I'm putting an extra fiberglass strip to really strengthen the corners there. My neighbor's Buck and his little pup walking around. He's been watching me ever since I started on the frame. So he's always curious how I'm doing. On this one, I wanted to go around it with the fiberglass cloth and kind of like basically make a little U, but I was having a lot of difficulty keeping it there because, well, gravity. So I decided to forego doing that. I did put these little clamps there with tape on it to kind of keep them there, but not to keep it on the bottom because it was just becoming a big problem. And I figured the top being structural is going to be beneficial anyway because the bottom will just be sitting on top of the hatch most of the time. So I figured I didn't need fiberglass there. So here I am doing that fiberglassing on the... I wasn't originally going to do this, and I decided that I probably should to keep it structural and to make it really smooth because there's some gouges in it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the fiberglass and keep it nice and tight and just have the fiberglass kind of, or the epoxy pool underneath and really form a really straight line so that the weather stripping can sit on top of it eventually. So here's a clip back to where I'm cutting off all the extra little parts. And this was a challenge. I was mounting the rear light here, which is going to go attached to my lights on the on the actual the lights for the trailer at the bottom. And you'll kind of see here that I made a big mistake. I lined it up all perfectly. I screwed it in, and then here we go. I was making a little extra hole above it, and it slipped and went right into the hole and cut 2 out of the 4 wires. There was a big old sigh there. I don't know if you could hear it. But anyway, so I had to order a new one, and it should be here tomorrow. So here I'm measuring all of the insulation and doing all the cuts for the insulation because everything is insulated. If you've been watching this series, you know that every single inch of this camper is insulated. Yeah, it was honestly, the insulation, it's very mind-numbing, which is great because I don't have to think, because most things on this camper, I have to really, really think about. Whereas with this, it's just measuring and cutting. It's great. I kind of slowed it down here so you can really get a view of the hatch. You can see how there's extra blocking everywhere. Some of it's sticking up. I need to go through and router out, flush trim router a lot of space on here so that everything is even when I put the eventual inside wall on it. Yeah, I just figured I'd give a little slow-mo view of what it looks like. So this is actually the hinge. So this is called a Centiflex hinge, and it's really rugged and durable. I found it actually on I don't know if he's New Zealand or Australian, but he used it, and I really liked it much more than I like the piano hinges that most people use. So I'd especially ordered this. It was actually very expensive because they don't really make them here in the US, which is unfortunate. But anyway, here I'm kind of lining it up and cutting it to size. Here you can see me attaching it to the hatch itself. This is just so I can kind of line it up and get it screwed in, and then you can kind of see an inside view of how it will attach. This is me just doing a dry fit and a test run. Once I got it on, I went ahead and closed it. You can see it here in kind of real time. But once again, if you guys are liking this content, please like and subscribe. I'm having a real blast getting this all finished up. Honestly, in 1 month from now is when it's going to get painted by my buddy Sean. So I am really just working my ass off to get everything done. I'm working on it several hours every single day, and on the weekends even more. So I'm trying to get this all finished for not just for you guys, but so we can actually do a camping trip next month at the end of July, beginning of August. So we'll see how it goes. And this is once again part 1 of the hatch. I'll have 2 parts for it. The doors should be done soon. And lots of stuff is coming along. So stay tuned and make sure you subscribe to see the next few videos. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.